You think you know what she wants in bed, but the truth is, you probably have no idea. Most men assume women will tell them exactly what turns them on, but here's the reality: the sexiest, most thrilling desires she has, she's not saying them out loud, not because she doesn't trust you, but because these are the kinds of fantasies that live deep in her mind, ones that need to be drawn out, not asked for. Maybe you've been with a woman and felt that something was missing. You both enjoyed it, but there was a layer of intensity, a raw spark, that just wasn't there. She seemed satisfied, but not lit up. Or maybe she gave you that look like she wanted something more, but then quickly brushed it off with a smile. That's not a rejection, that's an invitation. The problem is, most men play it safe in bed. They worry too much about doing something wrong, so they stick to the predictable. And predictable never drives her wild. But here's the good news: there are ways to unlock her hidden cravings without her saying a single word. These aren't tricks or cheesy moves. They're subtle, powerful shifts that tap into her psychology, her senses, and her deepest fantasies, while making her feel more connected to you than ever. Once you understand these, you'll see her eyes light up in ways you've never seen before. Let's get into it. Number 1. The element of surprise. The element of surprise is one of the most underestimated tools you have when it comes to igniting a woman's deepest desires. You see, routine kills excitement, but unpredictability makes her pulse race. This isn't about pulling some over-the-top stunt or acting out a movie scene. It's about keeping her guessing in subtle, thrilling ways. When she doesn't know exactly what's coming next, her mind starts to anticipate, and anticipation is one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs there is. Take Mark, 31, and his girlfriend Emily, 28. They'd been together for almost 3 years, and their sex life was good, but predictable. Same bed, same sequence, same ending. One Friday night, instead of the usual routine, Mark waited until Emily was reading on the couch. Without a word, he took her book from her hands, kissed her slowly, and whispered, "Come with me." He led her into the kitchen, dimmed the lights, and kissed her against the counter. That one change in setting and the unexpectedness of it set her on fire. The mood shifted instantly because it wasn't what she expected. Surprise works because it interrupts her mental pattern. In relationships, especially long-term ones, the brain starts to predict what's coming. That predictability is comfortable but not exciting. When you break that rhythm, whether it's by initiating in a different place, changing the pace, or even touching her in a new way, you create a moment that feels alive, urgent, and memorable. Now, the element of surprise doesn't mean doing something she's not comfortable with. It's about using what you already know she enjoys, but delivering it in a way that feels fresh and unrehearsed. If you know she loves having her neck kissed, don't wait until you're in bed. Do it when she's making coffee. If she loves the sound of your voice in her ear, don't whisper the same thing every time. Switch it up. Say something playful one day and commanding the next. Even small surprises like turning her around mid-kiss, holding her wrists gently, or initiating earlier in the evening than she expects can create an adrenaline rush. That rush is the same physiological reaction we get when something exciting happens: increased heart rate, heightened senses, and a surge of dopamine. It's biology working in your favor. The Stoics taught that life's most intense pleasures come from being fully present in the moment, and surprise forces presence. She can't drift into autopilot because her senses are locked in, wondering what's coming next. That moment of unpredictability is where her mind stops overthinking and just feels. The key here is balance. Too much unpredictability can feel chaotic, but just enough makes her crave the next moment with you. Think of it like seasoning. Sprinkle it in to enhance the flavor, not overwhelm the dish. Keep her guessing just enough so that every touch, every kiss, and every move feels alive. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever surprised a woman in a way that completely changed the energy between you? Drop a comment and start it with, "I own the moment." Let's see how many of you have been bold enough to try. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about something that takes the heat from a simmer to a boil without even removing a single piece of clothing. You're going to want to hear this. Number 2. Confident leadership. Confident leadership in the bedroom isn't about being overbearing or controlling. It's about creating an environment where she feels safe enough to let go completely. A lot of men misunderstand this. They think leadership means dominance in a stereotypical, forceful way. But in reality, it's a combination of decisiveness, awareness, and presence. When you step into that role, you give her permission to stop thinking and start feeling. Here's the truth. Uncertainty kills attraction, but not the kind of uncertainty that comes from surprise, the dangerous kind that comes from hesitation. If she senses you're unsure about what you're doing, she starts to think, should I be unsure too? Her mind becomes your mirror, reflecting your energy back at you. When you lead with certainty, that mirror shows back desire, trust, and excitement. Confident leadership starts long before you're in bed. It's in the way you take her hand when you walk together, the way you decide where to sit in a restaurant without making it a debate, the way you read her body language and adjust without her having to say a word. In intimacy, it's about initiating in a way that says, I know where this is going, and you're going to love it, without rushing, without fumbling, without second-guessing yourself. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That mastery is exactly what women respond to. If you can't control your own mind, your own pacing, your own confidence, you can't expect her to feel relaxed and open with you. Being a leader in intimacy means mastering yourself first, your emotions, your timing, your intention, so you can guide her through the experience without either of you getting lost. This doesn't mean ignoring her cues. In fact, the best leaders in bed are hyper-aware of their partner's reactions. They notice when her breath changes, when her body tenses, when her hands pull you closer. Leadership is about setting the direction, but also knowing when to slow down, when to pause, when to intensify. It's a dance, and the best dancers know both the steps and the rhythm. Imagine it like steering a ship. She may not know exactly where you're going, but she trusts you at the helm. She feels your hand on the wheel, your steady grip, your focus on the horizon. That trust allows her to relax into the experience, to surrender to the moment, because she knows you're in control not just of her pleasure, but of yourself. The other piece of confident leadership is decisiveness. Many men get stuck asking too many questions in the moment. Do you want me to do this? Is this okay? Should I? While consent is always essential, asking for constant micro-confirmations kills the flow. The better way is to pay close attention, learn her signals, and move with intention. When you do ask, make it part of the moment, low voice, close proximity, like an invitation instead of a survey. Women are drawn to men who can take charge without being selfish. When you know what you're doing and you move with purpose, you not only heighten the physical connection, you deepen the psychological one. She starts to associate you with a sense of safety and excitement, at the same time a rare combination that keeps her coming back. Now, I'm curious, do you consider yourself a leader in intimacy, or are you still finding your stride? Drop it in the comments starting with, I lead with certainty. Let's see how many of you are willing to step into that role fully. And keep watching, because next we're diving into a turn-on that's as much about the mind as it is about the body, something that can make her crave you before you even touch her. Number 3. The intentional pause. The intentional pause is one of the most underrated tools in intimacy, yet it's one of the most powerful. Most men think they need to keep moving, keep touching, keep escalating to maintain the mood. But in reality, slowing down at the right moment can create a surge of anticipation that no constant motion could ever match. It's the difference between watching a movie on fast forward and savoring every scene. Let's make this real with a story. Picture Alex, 31, on a date with Melissa, 29. They've been seeing each other for a few weeks, and tonight things are heating up. Instead of rushing from kiss to kiss, Alex does something unexpected. He stops. Not for long, just enough to hold her gaze, to let the silence and closeness sink in. Melissa feels her heartbeat pick up, her breath catch. That pause makes her lean into him, almost instinctively. Why? Because the pause creates space for desire to expand. The intentional pause works because it flips the script on the mind's expectations. Our brains crave patterns, but they also light up when those patterns are interrupted, especially when the interruption is charged with emotion and attraction. In the middle of intimacy, a pause says, "I'm in control of myself. I'm not rushing because I'm not desperate." That control is magnetic. The Stoics understood the power of restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." In this context, calmness is strength because it communicates confidence. When you pause intentionally, you're not stalling, you're signaling that you can handle the moment without needing to force it forward. That's incredibly attractive. Think about it. Anyone can keep moving. It takes a man who's truly grounded in himself to stop and let the moment breathe. And in that breathing space, she has time to feel your presence, the electricity between you, her own rising excitement. This is where the imagination takes over, and imagination is the most potent aphrodisiac there is. Now, an intentional pause isn't just about physical stillness. It's also about mental pacing. Maybe you're kissing and you stop just to whisper something in her ear. Maybe you're close, but you pull back enough to make her miss your touch for a second. That little gap makes her want more, and when you return, the energy is twice as intense. Here's the tricky part. The pause only works if it's intentional. If you hesitate because you're unsure, she'll feel that, and the spell breaks. This is why presence matters so much. Alex didn't pause with Melissa because he didn't know what to do next. He paused because he knew exactly what he wanted, and he wanted to make her want it too. That difference is everything. If you've ever listened to a great musician, you know they don't just play notes, they use silence as part of the song. The spaces between the notes make the music more powerful. In the same way, your pauses in intimacy make the connection deeper, more electric. So, the next time you're in the middle of a heated moment, try this. Instead of rushing to the next move, stop. Hold her gaze. Let your hand rest in place. Let your breathing sink. Feel the tension rise. You'll notice her leaning in, searching for your touch, wanting you to continue. That's when you know you've got her completely in the moment with you. Now I want to hear from you. Are you the type who knows how to use silence, or do you feel the need to fill every second with action? Drop it in the comments, starting with, "I master the pause," hen. And don't go anywhere, because next we're diving into a technique that turns her senses against her in the best way possible, making her crave you without even realizing why. Number 4. Playful teasing. Playful teasing is one of those tools that, when done right, walks the perfect line between connection and challenge. It's not about mocking or being mean. It's about creating a spark, a playful friction that makes her feel both drawn to you and intrigued by you. Women love the dance of attraction, and teasing done well is like adding a mischievous note to the music you're playing together. At its core, playful teasing works because it activates emotion and keeps the interaction from feeling predictable. When you're too agreeable or too safe, things can get comfortable, but comfortable can quickly turn into boring. A light, well-timed tease adds unpredictability. It signals that you're confident enough to break the script and secure enough not to be overly cautious with her. The Stoics often spoke about the balance between seriousness and lightness. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the realm of teasing, it's not the words you choose alone, but the energy and delivery. A playful tone, a raised eyebrow, a smirk. These all tell her you're not attacking her, you're inviting her into a little game. Think about the difference between a compliment and a tease. A compliment says, "I like this about you." A tease says, "I see this about you, and I'm confident enough to play with it." For example, instead of saying, "You look great in that dress," you might smirk and say, "You're wearing that dress to distract me, aren't you?" It's not meant to offend, it's meant to make her smile, push back a little, and engage with you on a more playful, personal level. This works because teasing stirs up a subtle tension, and tension is the backbone of attraction. When done with warmth and respect, it sends the message, "I'm not here to put you on a pedestal. I'm here to meet you as an equal, and I'm going to have fun doing it." Women respect a man who's not afraid to play a little, because it shows emotional intelligence. You're reading the moment, calibrating her reactions, and keeping the vibe alive. Here's where many men go wrong. They either go too hard, making it feel like criticism, or they play it so safe that the teasing loses its spark. The key is to keep it light and balanced. You're not trying to win the interaction. You're trying to keep the energy alive, to make her feel something she doesn't feel with just anyone. In an intimate context, playful teasing can heighten desire even more. Imagine pulling back just when she leans in, smirking and saying, "Patience, you'll get there." That tiny moment of denial, wrapped in a light-hearted tone, creates a surge of curiosity and craving. You're essentially inviting her to chase you in the most subtle way. And it's not just about words. Physical teasing works too, brushing past her hand but not holding it, leaning in close and then stepping back just enough to make her follow. These small gestures keep her engaged because they play with proximity, touch, and timing in a way that feels alive and unpredictable. The magic of playful teasing is that it blends charm, confidence, and humor. It's not an act, it's a mindset. It says, "I'm here to enjoy myself with you, and I'm not afraid to push the edges just enough to make things interesting." That's the type of energy that makes her think about you long after you've left the room. So here's my challenge for you. Stop treating interactions like fragile glass. Have the confidence to stir the waters a little. Keep it light, keep it fun, and watch how quickly the dynamic shifts. Now, I want you to drop a comment and finish this sentence. I own the game. Let's see who's ready to bring that playful energy into their connections. And don't go anywhere, because up next, we're diving into a move that blends dominance with subtlety, turning her attention on you in a way she won't be able to shake. Number 5. Whispered affirmations. Whispered affirmations are one of the most underrated, yet powerful tools you can use to create intimacy that lingers long after the moment ends. They're not just words, they're an experience. The combination of proximity, tone, and sincerity can cut through every layer of her thoughts and hit straight at her emotions. It's subtle, but it's magnetic. Think about this. A loud declaration in a crowded room might be flattering, but a quiet, intimate whisper is personal. It's for her and her alone. That's why it works. When you lean in close enough for your breath to brush her ear, you're entering a space very few people get to access. This alone makes her feel special, chosen, and deeply connected to you. Take, for example, a couple like Michael, 33, and Emily, 30, who have been dating for almost a year. They're sitting on the couch after a long day, watching television. Michael leans in, brushes Emily's hair aside, and softly says, "You have no idea how much I love being with you." No performance, no grand gesture, just a quiet truth delivered directly into her ear. Emily told her friends later that week that moment stayed with her for days, not because of what he said, but because of how he said it. Whispered affirmations work on multiple levels. First, they're private. Even if you're surrounded by people, it feels like the rest of the world disappears. Second, they're intentional. You're not just talking, you're creating an emotional anchor she can return to in her mind again and again. And third, they're tied to physical closeness. Your voice in her ear, your breath against her skin, the faint scent of your cologne, it's sensory overload in the best possible way. This is where the Stoics give us an interesting angle. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Whispered affirmations can act as those colors, painting her mind with the emotional tones you choose to give her. You can fill her mind with security, excitement, or desire depending on what you whisper. The key is sincerity. If you say something you don't mean, she'll sense it. The human brain is hardwired to pick up on microsignals of authenticity. That's why it's better to whisper one genuine thought than a dozen over-the-top lines that don't ring true. Timing matters too. You don't need to force these moments. In fact, they're most impactful when they happen naturally, when she least expects them. It could be as you're holding her hand walking through a busy street, or in the stillness right before sleep. That element of surprise adds to the power of the whisper. And remember, whispered affirmations don't always have to be romantic. They can be playful, flirty, or even teasing, something like, "You have no idea what you do to me," said with a smirk. The combination of mystery and vulnerability is irresistible. There's also a neurological element at play here. Whispering forces the listener to focus more intently, activating her brain's reward system when she processes your words. It's almost like you've created a secret only the two of you share. But perhaps the most important thing is that whispered affirmations show confidence. You're not broadcasting to the world. You're speaking to her directly, trusting that what you have to say doesn't need an audience. That quiet assurance is incredibly attractive. So, try this. The next time you're close to her, lean in and whisper something true, something real, and something just for her. Watch how her body language changes, how she softens, smiles, or leans in closer without even realizing it. That's not an accident. That's connection. Now, I want you to comment below and complete this sentence. I speak with intent. Let's see who's ready to use their voice to create real impact. And stick around, because next we're going to explore a move that blends touch with tension, taking intimacy to a whole new level without crossing a single word. Number 6. The gaze that holds. There's a certain kind of eye contact that's more than just looking, it's holding. It's not the casual glance you give a stranger on the street or the polite eye contact you make in a conversation. This is deliberate. It's a gaze that lingers just long enough to send a message without a single word being spoken. And when you do it right, it's one of the most potent forms of non-verbal seduction there is. The gaze that holds is about presence. You're not darting your eyes around the room, checking your phone, or letting your attention wander. You're locked in. And here's the thing, it's not about staring her down. It's about looking into her in a way that makes her feel both seen and understood. It's an unspoken way of saying, right now, my focus is entirely on you. From a Stoic perspective, this is a masterclass in self-control and intentionality. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The same principle applies here, except instead of listening with your ears, you're listening with your eyes. You're letting her know you're absorbing everything, her words, her body language, her energy, without interrupting it with your own noise. When you hold someone's gaze, especially in moments of intimacy or vulnerability, you create a psychological bridge. Studies show prolonged eye contact can increase the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, making the connection feel deeper and more personal. This is why the gaze that holds can shift the mood instantly from playful to charged, from comfortable to magnetic. But here's where many guys get it wrong. They either avoid it altogether, fearing it might come across as too intense, or they overdo it, crossing into the territory of awkward staring. The art lies in the balance. It's about holding her gaze long enough to let her feel your presence, but breaking it at just the right moment to leave her wondering what you were thinking. That subtle retreat keeps the tension alive. The beauty of this is that you can use it anywhere across the table at a restaurant, in the middle of a conversation at a party, or even during a quiet moment when neither of you is speaking. Sometimes those silent exchanges are more powerful than any line you could deliver. And here's a key nuance. Your gaze should be warm, not cold, engaged, not invasive. This isn't a dominance play, it's an intimacy play. Think of it as a gentle anchor, keeping her grounded in the moment with you. When she talks, don't just look at her, look into her. Let your eyes reflect genuine curiosity, admiration, or playfulness depending on the moment. The Stoics also teach us to be intentional with our energy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When your thoughts are grounded in confidence and presence, it shows in your eyes. You can't fake that, and she can feel the difference. What's interesting is how quickly women notice when a man has mastered this. In a world full of distractions, holding eye contact without flinching is rare. It signals emotional security, and emotional security is incredibly attractive. Here's how you can start practicing it. Next time you're with her, when she says something that matters, whether it's funny, vulnerable, or flirtatious, hold her gaze for a few beats longer than usual. Don't rush to respond, just let the moment breathe. That pause will do more work than you realize. So here's my challenge for you. Start paying attention to how you look at her. Are you simply seeing her, or are you holding her with your gaze? The difference is everything. Comment below with the words, "I see deeply." Let that be your commitment to showing up with presence. And in the next part, we'll explore a move that takes that same unspoken intensity and turns it physical without rushing a single thing. Number 7. Slow burn build-up. The slow burn build-up is where patience turns into power. Most guys rush. They think desire is a race and the finish line is the ultimate goal. But here's the truth. When you stretch the moment, when you build layer upon layer of tension without giving everything away too soon, you make the eventual release 10 times more explosive. It's the art of delayed gratification, and it's one of the most intoxicating ways to drive her wild. Think about Alex, 31, and Emily, 29, who have been dating for a few months. One night, instead of diving straight into the physical, Alex decided to slow things down. They were sitting on his couch, legs barely touching, talking about music. Every time Emily leaned in, he responded warmly but didn't close the gap completely. His touches were light, just a brush along her arm when he made her laugh, his fingers grazing hers when he handed her a drink. Each little moment stacked on top of the last, creating an unspoken anticipation that made the air between them feel charged. By the time he finally leaned in for a kiss, she was already melting, not because of the kiss itself, but because of the long, electric lead-up to it. From a Stoic perspective, this is about control. Control over your impulses, control over the pace, and control over the energy you're creating. Seneca once wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself. By resisting the urge to rush, you signal mastery, and mastery is magnetic." The slow burn build-up works because it allows her to feel every micro shift in your energy. Instead of overwhelming her senses all at once, you feed them in small doses. The way your hand lingers on her lower back when you pass behind her. The way you hold her gaze a beat longer before looking away. The way you let silence hang for just a moment before speaking again. Each one of these moments plants seeds of curiosity. What's he thinking? What's he going to do next? And that curiosity feeds attraction. This also works beautifully in longer relationships, not just early dating. Many couples lose the spark because they stop building anticipation. They jump from A to Z without enjoying the letters in between. But when you reintroduce the slow burn, whether it's through playful teasing, drawn-out touches, or extended foreplay, you reignite that magnetic pull. Alex understood this with Emily. Instead of rushing her toward the bedroom, he led her there slowly, letting each room become part of the build-up. A light kiss in the kitchen, A pause in the hallway where he whispered something in her ear. By the time they reached his room, it wasn't just physical desire driving them, it was the emotional electricity that had been simmering for the past hour. Men often underestimate how much women enjoy the journey of intimacy. Sure, the destination matters, but the winding road is what makes the destination unforgettable. A slow burn build-up tells her that you're not just looking for a release, you're invested in the shared experience. It says you value her, not just the act. If you want to start mastering this, pay attention to your pacing. The next time you're with her, try holding back just a little more than you normally would. When you touch her, let it be brief and intentional, then pull away. When you kiss her, pause mid-kiss, look into her eyes, and smile before continuing. Don't give her everything right away. Let her want more. Because here's the real secret: when she starts leaning toward you, when she's the one closing the gap, that's when you know the slow burn has done its job. You've flipped the dynamic. She's not just responding, she's actively seeking. And that's when attraction becomes irresistible. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below with the words, "I move slow," to let me know you're ready to master this art. And trust me, what comes next will take that slow burn intensity and push it into a territory that most men never explore. Number 8. The power of restraint. The power of restraint is one of the most underestimated tools in a man's arsenal when it comes to driving a woman wild. Most guys think intensity means always going all in, pouring on the heat until it boils over. But the truth? Sometimes the most electrifying move is the one you don't make. Restraint creates space for desire to grow, for her imagination to run wild, and for tension to build until it's almost unbearable. In the realm of attraction, less can truly be more. When you hold back, when you deliberately stop short of what she's expecting, you're sending a signal of control. You're showing her you're not ruled by impulse, that you can choose when to act, and that choice makes every touch, every glance, every move carry more weight. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not a master of himself." In this context, mastery doesn't mean denying desire, it means directing it with precision. Imagine a moment when you're close, maybe sitting side by side, your knees touching. She's expecting your hand to slide up her thigh, or your lips to meet hers, but instead you hold her gaze, smile faintly, and lean back slightly. You've just interrupted the expected script. That gap between what she thought would happen and what actually did, that's where anticipation is born. And anticipation is far more addictive than instant gratification. Restraint also communicates confidence. It says, you're not desperate for the moment to happen, you know it will happen, and you're willing to let it unfold in its own time. That patience can be intoxicating because it creates a dynamic where she starts moving toward you, subtly bridging the gap you've left open. You've shifted the energy so that she's chasing the moment instead of you chasing it. Another reason restraint works so well is because it forces her to become more aware of every little thing: your voice, your body language, your breathing. When you don't rush, she notices details she might otherwise miss. That awareness draws her deeper into the moment, making every future touch or kiss land with 10 times the impact. From a practical standpoint, practicing restraint means recognizing when to stop just short of the climax of a moment. It's the long pause before a kiss, the lingering glance before breaking eye contact, the touch that trails off before it gets too obvious. It's the ability to slow the pace when the energy is peaking, letting it simmer instead of boiling over immediately.